Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here with Ted McLyman, who is the author of Discover Your Money Temperament, a common sense guide to financial security. And who doesn't want that these days? My
Well,
name
you
is
bet.
Doug Fine, and I am the principal of Defined Performance Solutions. It's a small consultancy firm, performance consultancy, basically in Augusta, Georgia. And Ted, you and I are in the same town. So welcome again to discuss chapter 6 of your book.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. I've enjoyed doing these, and now that we're on this quasi work release program right now, it's even a little bit nicer to get out and maybe interact with people a little bit more.
There you go.
But
Good to see.
this is an important topic, and we've had a lot of feedback, a lot of positive feedback, particularly during the lockdown, as it's put people in a position to really think about their money and think about it from a different perspective. So that's what this book is intended to do, and looking forward to talking about it.
Great. So we're going to cover chapter 6, which
Okay.
the title of the book includes the title of chapter 6, Your Money Temperament. So came up with a question in reading the chapter that maybe you can help our listeners understand and help me understand. It's, what are some ways that you help people understand their own money temperament? What are the categories of a money temperament, if that's the way to call it? So the floor is yours.
Okay, a little background. Money temperament. Money temperament is your default when it comes to spending money, thinking about money, how you feel about money, the emotions. It's a composite of your biology. We're human, and we do human things with money. Our feeling brains are lazy and on drug, and the drug is dopamine, which is the feel-good drug of choice when we're spending. It's the anticipation, and it makes us get that upgrade we don't need in the car and the extra room in the house, et cetera, et cetera. So there's our biology. Our belief set with money, well established by mid-adolescence. It's really kind of the foundational beliefs of how you feel and think about money. It can be changed, but it's difficult, kind of like exercise and diet. And then the last part is our culture. Our culture has a tremendous impact on our belief set with regard to money, how we think and feel about money. And there's a microculture of where you grew up and where you live. And then there's more of a macro culture, the United States. And we're proud members of the consumption culture.
Yeah. So are there extremes of temperament? Like what would be
Yes.
what would be an extreme or two of the different kinds of things
Think
that
of
make
temperament again as your default. This is when you're not thinking, you're feeling brain. This is where you're comfortable, and this is what you do. And this is why 95 to 99% of our spending patterns are non-conscious and automatic. It's just our feeling brain engaged, and you spend. It's not a problem when you're running into Starbucks, but it's a problem when you're getting an upgrade in your house. A couple of extra bucks for a cup of coffee is different than a few $1,000s for a car, for a house, or a major consequential decision. So as humans, we're not really good at this money thing. And if we allow our default brain to take charge, we often do some very crazy things with money. So I tell everybody, with your money temperament, you need to know how you're naturally wired. Now, what you've got to understand is most people are relatively normal within one standard deviation. We all kind of fall in there, and we do some crazy things. We do some smart things now and then, but most of us are okay. If you're an outlier at the extreme, that's dysfunctional behavior, and that's well beyond my pay grade and what I'm talking about in this book. I mean, if you've got significant behavioral problems with money, you need to sit down and talk to somebody who's a lot more qualified on different licenses than I have.
Yeah. You're talking about a therapist, Ted.
And there you go. Or a bankruptcy judge, depending on what you're looking at. But let's talk about the money temperament thing. Most people I've talked to, and I've talked to hundreds of clients about this topic, is when you sit down and you start going through some spending patterns. And the easiest way to do this is take a look at your calendar and your checkbook. Your calendar and your checkbook is probably the best way I can think of to very quickly have you categorize your spending priorities, both emotionally and real term, thinking brain, feeling brain, whatever. It's where you focus. And I'm not complaining and I'm not judging. It's who you are. And that's a good reflection. Well, to make it simple in the book, I lay out 3 different things or categories of temperament that you should be aware of. One is spender or saver.
Okay.
Are you the type of person that the valet at Nordstrom actually knows your name, knows your license plate, and parks your car in the same place once a week.
Beautiful.
I'm not saying that's good or bad.
Right.
Depends on your circumstances. But that would indicate to me that you're probably more of a spender. On the other hand, are you making $200,000 to $300,000 a year and you're living in an 800 square foot walk-up apartment downtown Augusta, and you're clipping coupons and saving aluminum cans? That may be the extreme at the other. All I'm saying is you have a natural propensity. And what I mean by temperament, it's your natural feel-good space. A lot of people use spending as emotional support. It's entertainment. It's recreation. Let's get a group of people and go to the mall. You're going to the mall to go spend for something different than an absolute need. You may be at the other hand. I know some people who take great pride of being, let's call it what it is, cheap. Well, you can be cheap and can be dysfunctional. So all I'm saying is you have a natural feel-good place. If you're the type of person that has to look at your portfolio, your 401k 2 to 3 times a day, you're probably more on the savings side. If you're the person that is not aware that you have a savings account and a portfolio, you may be more on the spending side. So spender saver. Next is risk. Okay, when most people talk about risk, it's the risk of losing money, and we usually tie it into the stock market. When I'm talking about risk, it's the emotional pain of loss. It's, can you handle the emotional pain of losing money? That's a different concept of risk than most investors talk about. Example, my dad is 90 some odd years old. He's a World War II Depression year type guy. He's worth $1 million. He has no bills. He's well taken care of, but he angst over every dollar he's got. Wow. He knows where every dollar is. That's an example of a guy who is incredibly emotionally risk adverse. He doesn't even have any money in the market, but when the market is down, he feels pain. On the other hand, I'm more on the other side. I am not emotionally tied the way he is to losing money. I see it as part of what I do as an entrepreneur. Part of what I do to make money is lose money. I see. Now, my wife, on the other hand, is more risk adverse. So she keeps notes of all the things I do that drive her nuts with my money. 2 learning points there. Yeah. We've got 3 people with 3 different individual feeling brain, emotional reactions to losing money. That's what I mean by temperament. Okay. Last one I'll give you is maximizer, sufficer. Maximizer. Maximizer is the type of person that wants to get everything possible out of every circumstance. This is the type of person when their advisor calls and says, congratulations, you know, you had an 18% return in the market this year. That is outstanding. And he stops without missing a beat and says, well, yeah, but you promised me 19. Okay. Hey, if you're getting 18% consistently, my gosh, I would take that any place. On the other hand, a sufficer is the master of the 80% solution. You know, hey, good enough. So the same advisor calls another client who's a sufficer and says, hey, you got an 18% return in the market. And they go, tell me who you are again. And what was that all about? Yes. Different perspective. Now the key point with all these temperaments is they all can be equally successful. Where you get into trouble is trying to put somebody that is not naturally wired in one box to force them to live in a different box. So if I'm going to try to make a saver function as a spender, that's going to make them uncomfortable. On the other hand, if I'm going to try to force a natural spender to be a saver, that's going to be uncomfortable also. The key with money temperament, I believe very strongly that the starting point for good financial advice, financial literacy, is benchmarking who you naturally are with money, how you feel and think about money, your money temperament. Then building a program around your temperament that is aligned with your values and how you naturally feel and think about Ted, you have a gift of summarizing things really good, and these three types of, I guess you could call them extremes, is covered really in depth in your book. And I want to share what I came up with. There's a little self-assessment in this chapter, and I was very surprised to see that
I am not a sufficer. I am like, I want it all kind of guy. Now I don't have the means to do that, and thankfully I don't act that way. But that's what I want. I want the best.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
and that's just my temperament. But I don't have the resources to act like that, though.
Yeah, and you bring up a really good point. You've identified something from the book that's unique to you that you did not know.
Yeah.
That's going to make you better with money. This is what I'm finding when people read this book. It's this is not a book about money. This is a self-help book. This is a leadership book that you're going to discover about yourself and how to point yourself in the right direction. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with wanting it all, but know within the limits of your income, your lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
your health, your age, and everything else. You still can have it all, but it's all relative.
Yeah. Ted, thank you for covering in brief this chapter 6, Your Money Temperament, of your book, Discover Your Money Temperament, Common Sense Guide to Financial Security. Ted, we all want financial security, so this is a wonderful way to learn about it. And again, I can't thank you enough for spending time to talk about this chapter with me. And we'll see you next time for chapter 7, which is called, it's called Money Knowledge.
You got it. Looking forward to it. Take care.
See you then, Ted. Thank you.
Yep.
Bye-bye.